Hi everyone, I am Viera. I work with Detention Watch Network. We are a national organization that is focused on ending the use of immigration detention in the United States. Apologies for not joining live. As you can probably tell, I'm battling a bit of an untimely cold. But I hope this video is enough to convey my gratitude for the space that you all are creating to connect during these really hard times. And apologies ahead of time for any sniffling or sneezing pauses. But I wanted to talk a little bit about and reflect a little bit about this moment and, what we're feeling and seeing. As I'm sure folks are not surprised to hear right now, we find ourselves at a critical and really painful juncture. The new administration has come into power, riding on threats to target immigrants, to tear families apart, to destabilize our communities through fear and militarized enforcement. And this was really made possible through a frighteningly effective campaign to dehumanize people who migrate to the United States. I guess, in need of a diversion from the ways that our government's policies perpetuate gross societal inequality, those in power have sought to blame the most vulnerable, as we've seen happen time and again throughout history. And we, in looking at history, know that it is an effective strategy. It deflects the eyes of the public, the masses, while also dividing them and tempering the power of our majority. And to do this, they need us to forget and dismiss the humanity of another, to not see a person with a face, a family, a life when we hear the word immigrant, but instead a scary, unknown threat. And this is what we can't allow them to do. We can't let them evade accountability or to convince us to deny anyone's humanity and thereby relent our own collective power. In the face of these realities, it's really easy to be overwhelmed. Just in the first week of his presidency, the Trump administration has already issued dozens of executive orders, a large portion of them on immigration, and Congress has successfully passed a hugely impactful draconian anti-immigrant law, with several others introduced. These initiatives will decimate our asylum and refugee systems. They will further criminalize immigrants in ways that will encourage even more pervasive racial profiling by law enforcement and the mass detention of immigrants. And they will authorize and deploy military resources in novel ways for immigration enforcement. Unfortunately, even elected officials who have claimed to be friends of immigrants are failing to hold the line and create meaningful obstacles to this agenda right now. So it's terrifying, to say the least. I can't really sugarcoat it in any way. On a personal note, most of my family and friends live in North Jersey. Many are immigrants of varying status. Some don't speak English. And we've already seen the increase of immigration enforcement in the area, with multiple businesses raided by ICE in the last week. But this is a moment where we see the power of community and of moral courage. I'm personally not a person of faith, but I do, against many odds, it feels sometimes, firmly believe in humans. I believe in our ability to transform and to be there for each other. And in that way, and as I'm sure many of you all experience it as well, organizing is an act of faith. It's rooted in the belief that no one is disposable. So, when we come together to resist detention and deportation, when we show up for our neighbors who are facing removal, or when we demand accountability from policymakers and advocate for the abolition of systems that criminalize migration, we are living out those beliefs and those values. And, if I'm being honest, I think there's a long way to come for many of our communities to understand the urgency of this moment. But realities are definitely starting to take hold. And without sharing too much over video, networks and resources are being built to keep our people informed and to support them as things go down. And so I'm hopeful that we can keep building on those structures and on the love and support that already exists in our communities. So those are, I guess, overall the two things that I wanted to bring for us to reflect on and to ready for, to commit to the long, hard work of transformation of both our systems and of our hearts and minds. First, the narratives that seek to dehumanize and divide us are strong and pervasive. We need to challenge them both in ourselves and in the communities that we're a part of. And we need to clarify the gravity of what's at stake. When someone is arrested for immigration, they are torn from a community many have lived in for years. They're separated from their loved ones, incarcerated indefinitely in ICE's detention system, which is plagued with abuses like medical neglect and physical violence from guards, to perhaps lose the entire life that they've built in the face of deportation. This already happens, and now we have an administration that is seeking to make this system more aggressive, more extensive, and less discerning. So this moment matters for countless lives and for the future of how we treat all of our most vulnerable. And second, immigration enforcement is coming. The fight is for people seeking safety at our borders, and it's local for our neighbors and our loved ones. So it may look like ICE, but it also may not. It may look like police collaborating with federal enforcement agencies. It may look like service providers documenting someone's status. So keeping our eyes peeled, our mouths shut in these scenarios, of course, and staying in tune with local networks that are tracking enforcement activity and requesting support on behalf of folks impacted or at risk is essential. And of course, this is all work that we can't do alone. We need each other to build a world where every person can live with dignity, safety, and freedom. So I'll end my reflection just by referencing the text from Leviticus that was offered as some grounding for today concerning the stranger who we're called to treat and love as our own. And I want to acknowledge this not just as a call to kindness or respect, but one for meaningful solidarity. It's not just an ideal to live by, but a collective endeavor to affirm all of our humanity, especially those who may be seen as other. So thank you for listening. Apologies again for not being able to share the space in person, but I hope to see all of you soon in the fight anyway. Thanks.